Mr. Thiam, welcome. We would like to talk with you about your project that you are leading in the Middle Olifants Basin in South Africa. Could you tell us something more about the project? What's it all about and
Yeah.
what you want to achieve?
Thanks, Alma, for your question. Yeah, we are part of a consortium of other German partners and also some South African partners. We are trying to understand how water management in South Africa can be improved based on the water laws which have been passed since 1998 and 1997. 1998 is the National Water Act and 1997 is the National Water Service in South Africa. A lot of things came into the water policy debate in South Africa because before water was allocated based on riparian principles where farmers having more land were allocated more water, and since that act, the government decided to introduce new policies such as compulsory licensing, water market, and also, let's say, changing the allocation of property rights. Basically, the context of this project is to help the South African government to improve its understanding in terms of water management in the country. That's basically what the project is about.
Since this is the second phase of this project, where are you now? What stage?
The project is actually going quite well because we have some, let's say, papers written which are already submitted, and we held different workshops to discuss with our partners on the progress we made so far, and yeah, the project is doing quite well.
So can you tell us something more about ZEF's part of the project, the research component? What kind of research are we doing there?
Yes, ZEF basically is focused on, let's say, because in South Africa, everyone is talking about water policy, as I mentioned earlier. What we try to understand here is what are the transaction costs, for instance, of implementing water policies? Because, I mean, maybe the phrase you will hear a lot when you are in South Africa is we have the best water policy in the world. But I think it will be interesting to see, for instance, how costly is the implementation phase of the policies. That's why we have a very strong interest in calculating the transaction costs of implementing water policy. And these policies are, for instance, the ones that I mentioned earlier: compulsory licensing, water market, and so on and so forth. And the second component of ZEF part is, for instance, to design a hydroeconomic model where we gonna capture the real value of water throughout the river, you know, giving it also a different time schedule. For instance, water has different values with regard to the location we are drawing it, either for irrigation or for domestic consumptions, but also for industrial uses. And the second component of our work here at ZEF is also to determine the real value of the water in integrating the quality part. And the third part of our work here is also to, for instance, to try to understand the institutional aspect of water resources management. Because based on the policies which have been introduced in South Africa, we have, let's say, catchment management areas we have 19 in South Africa. Means the process is currently changing, but the first phase we had 19. We also have what we call water users associations. Without going into the details, these are the institutions provided by the Department of Water Affairs in order to facilitate the way water management is being undertaken in the country. And now, the context of institutions is to see what may be the role of catchment management areas, water user associations, how far farmers or mines or even households, they have, let's say, the power to shape the way water policy is being designed in the country. And obviously the last part is very much related to capacity building, training people, helping to strengthening the capacity at the country level.
That sounds like a huge interdisciplinary effort. I mean, it's economic modeling, it's social research, like looking into the role of institutions, it's capacity development, it's case studies you are conducting. How many people are involved?
Here at ZEF, we are 4. Professor von Braun, who is a boss, who is leading the project. I'm coordinating the project myself. We have 2 PhD students, which are located here at ZEF, but in the process of our capacity building, we do have 1 PhD student based in South Africa at the University of Pretoria. But we also have a very strong partnership with the University of Pretoria throughout the Center for Environmental Economics and Policy in Africa with Professor Hassan. We all are working in this project. Then I think we have enough people and enough capacities to deal with all these questions I raised before.
Given the not always easy relationship between science and policy making, what kind of experience do you have, of what do you think are the perspectives of really conveying this science-based advice to the policy level?
Mm-hmm. This is a great question, because even maybe we will come to that a bit later. We held a workshop last week where the BMBF came up with a fantastic idea of implementing the outcomes of this project. And I think this is a very innovative idea, in a sense that bringing together the outcomes of this project and, let's say, those who are in charge of implementing, the policies, or let's say the results we found, is a very innovative idea. And I think last time we discussed a bit on how this project may be implemented at the end, and I think I'm very much looking forward to see how BMBF will contribute in shaping the way this project is being implemented at the end. But the diagram they proposed last time was really fascinating.
Can you tell us something about it?
It's just like, I think, about a chain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Seeing, for instance, that I will give an example. Let's say to be more practical. In this project, we have, because we are dealing about water quality aspect, we are about designing a theoretical approach where we will survey farmers and give them pollution rights. Then we will design a contract. Mm-hmm. If we give them contracts, that means they have a contract relationship with the regulator. In the South African context, it may be either the catchment management areas or the water user association. What is important here is to know that we will have a contract between the farmers and the regulator, and the farmers will invest in effort to reduce the pollution. Obviously, we have a benchmark pollution level above which the farmer has to pay additional fees. It may be tax, it may be other mechanisms we can design in our research. And if they don't reach that pollution level, which is a standard pollution level, then the farmers don't need to pay. You see, if you have a situation where you have this kind of contract, bounding together the farmers and the regulator, I think that can be a very good example of the outcomes that we can provide for the quality aspect. This is only one part, because other parts also will involve, for instance, the quality of the water throughout the river. But with this example, a contract, I think at the end of this project, that can help the South African government to find a way to reduce water pollution, because water pollution is a very big concern in this country.
So the workshop you organized was one of the first ones in the second phase, I think, of the project. It's one of the first workshops. You came together to exchange ideas and to design a roadmap for the coming 1.5 years or so to go for the project. So was there, it seems like it was a very creative workshop. What were some other ideas you shared there?
Yeah, let me maybe correct a bit. This workshop was the third one we organized in Germany, because in total we had 5 workshops since the beginning of the second phase. We had 3 in Germany, 1 in Beijing, 1 in Berlin, and the last one here in Bonn. And we held 2 workshops in South Africa. All of them, we held them in Pretoria.
Okay.
I think this project, this workshop was also a very important moment to exchange, the findings we got so far since the beginning of the second phase. It also helped us to prepare our next workshop in South Africa that will take place in October this year in South Africa. What comes to my mind as a major outcome is obviously the water game that Bertrand provided, and I think these have been very big achievements to my mind with regard to the workshop we organized last week.
What is your idea about the time ahead? So what should stand in the end to call it a successful project?
Yes, I think if we are able to capture the real transaction costs of implementing water policies, if we are able to provide the real value of the water throughout the river in considering the quality aspect, if we are able to design a cost-efficient contract that will help the government and the farmers to mitigate water quality, I think we can call this project as the end very successful. But obviously I have no doubt about the success of this project, because we are doing actually hard work to make it successful, and not only us but all the other partners are doing the same. I think we all are on the same part. We just want to see this project successful, having very big insights in the water community in South Africa, but also helping a country like South Africa to improve the way water allocation is being undertaken in the country.
Okay, we wish you very much success with this continuation of your project and of the research, and thank you very much.